As the countdown to the 150th Melbourne Cup begins, Luca Cumani is hoping to go one better than he did in 2008. We spend a morning with Luca on the gallops and at his stables, Bedford House. Always destined to be a racehorse trainer, with your mother and father both being trainers in Italy.
Yeah, pretty much so. I think I don't think I had much choice.
You originally came over here in the 70s and you were assistant trainer to Henry Cecil.
Yeah, that's right. For 3 years.
Since then you've had a lot of luck. You've trained some outstanding horses. What's the favourite horse or the most successful horse that you feel in your mind you've trained?
Well, I think I've got no doubt that the best horse I ever trained was certainly Falbrave. Unfortunately, I only had him for 1 year. He came to me at the beginning of his 5-year-old year. But in that year, he ran 10 times, all 10 times in Group 1 races, won 5 of them. Could have been 6 if he hadn't been interfered with in the Irish Champion, and might have been even 7 when he was beaten a short head in the Breeders' Cup turf. So he was a fantastic horse, so tough, so durable, so sound. He started racing in April, and he had probably his best performance was in December when he won the Hong Kong Cup.
You've won a lot of races overseas in a lot of different countries. Not too many have eluded you.
Well, we've been lucky. We had the horses. We've been lucky that I particularly like to travel. I like to travel the horses. I think that we got a good record in so doing. We learnt a lot doing that. And I also like to travel because I like to experience different racing environments and different training environments, and I like to sort of learn more about how other people do the job, because I think that in my job, or in any job probably, that you never stop to learn.
Now, on those travels, you won a cup in Australia, a Geelong Cup, with Bauer in 2008.
Yeah, Geelong Cup was great because that broke our duck in Australia. Now we can say that we've had a winner on every continent, and now we just have to try and win the big one.
Well, that one race that's eluded you up until now has been the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
You first came to Melbourne in 2006 with Glistening.
Yeah, we brought 2 horses of Paul Makin's, Glistening and Sulakra. Sulakra didn't make the cut and ran in the Saab. And I quickly realised that they weren't really good enough, but Paul wanted to take him to Australia and then leave him there to carry on racing in Australia. But that set the tone of what I needed to try and be competitive in the Cup. And so the following year we came with Purple Moon. We ran a hell of a good race and just got beaten in the last sort of 100 yards. And the following year we came with Bauer that was beaten by a pixel. So, just bad luck.
You mentioned your love for travelling your horses. Was there an attraction to Melbourne in particular that...
It's the biggest challenge of them all, because it's the furthest racecourse away from Newmarket that you can find probably, and so it's a hell of a long journey for the horses. It's minimum 50 hours door to door. It's a change in hemisphere, it's a change in temperature, it's a change in environment where to train. So it is the biggest challenge you can find, because when we travel to America, for instance, or Canada, or even Japan or Hong Kong, we just fly in very close to the race 6-7 days before. The horses seem to adjust pretty well after they recover from the travel in 2 or 3 days, and they're fine and they give their performance. But with Australia, I found that you've got to give it a long time before the horses seem to take a long time, at least 2 or 3 weeks, to recover from the travel and get back into some sort of swing. And so then you have to also train them there. So you have to work out how to train them. Whereas I said, all the other places you go fit and you don't do anything up to the day to the race. In Australia, in Melbourne, you have to train them as well. So it's a big challenge. It's a difficult one, but it's been done by Dermot well before, and I hope I can do it one day.
You mentioned that you like to learn a lot from travelling your horses. Over the years coming to Melbourne, you must have, every year you probably find out a little bit more about what it takes, and has the race changed a lot since you first started coming down under?
Well, I feel it entirely depends whether Aidan O'Brien runs his horses in it or not. Because if Aidan isn't there with his horses, then you get a typical Melbourne Cup, which is run in three segments: quick to the first bend, slow to the last 1,000, and then quick again from the 800. But if Aidan's there with his horses, as we saw 2 years ago, they went sort of flat out from the start, and so it had a completely different complexion. My idea of the right horse for the Melbourne Cup is a horse that probably in Europe would be considered a 1.5 mile horse with the potential to stay the 2 miles, with the potential both visual from the way he runs his races and on his pedigree. There must be sufficient stamina on his pedigree to make you believe that he will get 2 miles. But I think you need a 1.5 mile horse because you need a change of gear.
Purple Moon, a very popular horse around your stable. You brought him down to Melbourne in 2007. He went close.
Yeah, but didn't get it. But it was close. It was very exciting. It was a great race. For a minute, with about a furlong to go, we thought we'd win it, and then we knew we hadn't got it. But it was a great effort.
Well, then in 2008, you couldn't have really gone much closer than what you did with Bauer.
Yeah, Bauer was really close. And the funny thing was that we actually, going into the race, we thought that Mad Rush had the better chance of the two. But unfortunately, the ground turned out to be far too fast for Mad Rush, and he didn't adapt to it. And so my eyes were focused more on Mad Rush than on Bauer. And I lost Bauer as they turned for home. As the angle swung, I couldn't really see where he was. And then all of a sudden, I saw this grey horse flashing on the outside and finishing very fast. And for a minute I had my heart in my mouth, and truly, as they went past the post, I really didn't know. I don't think anybody really knew that day who won the race, and it took the judge quite a while to position his line in a way that we got beat by a pixel.
It did seem to take an eternity for the judge to post the numbers in that race.
That's right.
Were you surprised at his run?
Pleasantly, yes, because I knew the horse was well. He was in good form. He'd just won the Geelong Cup. He was adapting well to everything. But in my mind, he never showed me that he might be up to it. I suppose the fact that he had less weight than Mad Rush to carry, and the fact that the ground was very fast, which is what he really loves, and that there was strong pace, all made him put up his best performance ever.
In 2009, that wasn't so kind to you, I guess, with Chemin de Triomphe not quite getting to the Cup, and Basaltico maybe a little bit disappointing for you.
Yeah, somehow those two horses never progressed once they got to Australia. Chemin de Triomphe was a disappointment in the Caulfield Cup, and then we decided that there wasn't any point getting him into the Melbourne Cup, and then Basaltico just wasn't quite up to it. He ran a decent enough race in the Geelong, and then he just ran a sort of ordinary race in the Cup. So those two horses were probably not the right horses to bring.